Welcome. So we are live. We're live. I'm David Carmena, a 15-year real estate executive here in Tampa, and we do a lot of things business related, right? So what we do is we are interested in things that are in the Tampa Bay area, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you think about Tom Brady and how Tom Brady affects the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, what everyone knows, what a lot of people know, are that the Buccaneers are, well, let's just say it. You know, outside of Tom Brady's performance last Sunday, where I mean, you talking about last minute comebacks. Good Lord. Old boy came in and he came in with a under a minute touchdown. Only had a minute left to go. I mean, he was Tom Brady. Tom Brady was Tom Brady. Now, the difference is between last week and a couple of weeks before was that, his performance dipped out. A lot of people would think that the dipping of his performance, the kind of, being out of sync, the missing the throws, missing the flat, wasn't really the team. It was his performance. And the only thing that was unique to his performance during that stretch and other stretches was his divorce. So I covered that last week. I had my guests and we talked about Tom Brady from a branding standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, mental health. We're not suggesting that he's suffering anything, but from a mental health standpoint, from a economic standpoint, where we didn't have a chance to discuss the economic impact of Tom Brady, which is what we're going to do today. But we did talk about whose fault it was and should he retire. And I got to tell you guys, they was on the brother. They were on a brother. In fact, as soon as I talked about whose fault it was, I had to bring him back up. I had to bring in back up. And you don't believe me? Look at this.
Back to your question of like, should he retire? It depends on who you ask because each perspective is going to come from a different priority. You ask Giselle, she has her opinion. You ask the team owner and the coaches, they have their opinion. You ask the Brady brand shareholders, what they think, and they're going to have their opinion. And so it really just depends on which way are we coming from this, and then also what's best for Tom. You can only have one priority. Like
Now,
you
I'm
only
wondering,
one number one.
right. Now, you're a lawyer, and um, meeting of the minds, is there such a thing as a verbal contract? Is he if he made a verbal contract with his wife that I'm going to retire,
Mm-hmm.
what is that? Can that be enforceable?
No,
Could it be
no,
even be a verbal contract?
no. As between spouses, we make small verbal contracts all the time. I'll do this if you do that, or this is what I would like for my birthday. We're going to buy this house. It's your career first, and then mine. Um, in a marriage, if you have made an understanding and then one partner breaches, you don't get to enforce the verbal agreement. You have to decide whether or not you can live with it. And so one or the other or both of them have decided that they can't live like this anymore and they want to do something else.
Can't live like this anymore.
Mm-hmm. And that means a lot
So
of different things. It doesn't, one man's torture is another man's heaven. It's
right.
just not
So
right for
when you think about what women want, men, well, for one, men don't know what women want. Okay, let me just say that from the very beginning. Men do not know what women want. So I'm
Okay.
going to hope you guys can answer this question.
We're going to lead with learned incompetence. Here we go.
All right. So
Because
I knew
women,
let me bring a man on.
I
was
need
going
some
down the
more
wrong path. I
male
knew it.
energy
I
on
knew
here.
it. But
Let me
hey, I
bring
kept
Andrew
going.
up.
Take a look.
Drew, help a brother out.
Trying to
me.
bring in reinforcements
I'm
here.
going to get deep into
Hey,
it. I'm getting deep into it, man. First, introduce
I'm right
yourself,
here.
and I'm gonna throw this question out here, and I need some backup on this one.
Yeah, so I'm Drew Ware. I am the CEO of World Class Consulting. And let me tell you, I'm living the dream every single day. And I really want to chime in. Here's what I want you all to think about. Remember, Tom Brady was doing football before he met his wife, the supermodel. And 90% of what he was doing, it was all about football. So he's probably perhaps spent 10%. And then once they had kids, 20% with the kids, 80% doing what he was doing. So what happens is when your spouse says, "Hey, I want you to give all that up," that's all he knows. So I think he tried it. And within those 40 days, he realized that's all he knows. So I'll go ahead and.
All right. So before we get to women voice response, I got some backup here. I got some in the green room, a couple of guys. And I want to, before we talk about the financial impact of Tom Brady, I want to know another male perspective. Should he have retired? Let me bring up Roger here. Roger, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, man?
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Much appreciated.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you do, and let's get into this topic. Should he have retired? Go ahead.
Yeah. So 22 years in the financial services space. Have my own practice here in Tampa. We work with clients nationally, mainly small business owners and senior level, C-level executives. In terms of my man Brady, well, I figured, man, ride it till the wheels fall off from a football perspective. Should get as much juice out of that turnip as possible. That's a footballing aspect. From a money aspect, obviously he's all set. From a marriage perspective, obviously the conversation with Giselle had kind of stemmed on him kind of walking away, I think, before this year, from what I understand. And the aspect is, look, the guy's still got an energy and a fight for the game. There is obviously a lot of differences in that regard with her and what she wanted. Is it enough to actually, walk away from the entire marriage after that period of time? That's kind of dicey to me. There's got to be something really underlying in that space that just doesn't sit well with me. So, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's not our position to judge. It's not our position to really know. But you figure there's got to be something hidden between the lines here that is not being disclosed, that is an impetus for why they are divorcing.
Let's bring in another Roger. Let's bring in another guy's opinion. I'm gonna play what the women said.
Sure.
But I wanted to get some guys in here because I tell you, Roger, we had a 180-degree out. I mean, what we thought, what the men thought, and what the women thought were, like I said, 180 degrees out. Brian, let me get you on up here. Add you here.
How's it going, David?
Man, again, tell me a little bit what you do and what the topic on the question on deck is. Should he have retired? Your thoughts?
I am a franchise consultant. Name of my company is Apex Franchise Consulting. And what a franchise consultant does is assist people in that franchise acquisition process, whether it be the selection, FDD review, finding lawyers, that entire process. I kind of help people along there and help them get into a franchise that they're going to be happy with and profitable. So that's what I do for a living. as far as Mr. Tom Brady,
Well, before we talk about Tom Brady, I'm curious. What are there any hot franchises that you kind of are recommending currently?
oh yeah, I mean, there's always, especially with the potential impending recession, certain brands are really stepping up and creating business models that are very robust and recession resistant. Um, and honestly, if you want to know the names, got to book an appointment. We'll talk. But there's a few out there that are hot and trending, though. Honestly.
Awesome. And later on we'll get your information so that people can book an appointment with you. But tell me about Tom Brady. Should he have retired?
No, not. I mean, obviously he doesn't think so because he came back out of retirement in what 30 days was it? You know, and he his arm is still working. I remember watching Peyton Manning retire. He couldn't throw. You know, when he retired, like a lot of Ben Roethlisberger retired. His body didn't work anymore. You know, Tom Brady's body still works. He just is on a mediocre team, unfortunately, right now. You know, so if his body works, his mind is there. Don't retire, man. Keep going. You know.
Well, let's hear what the women said.
Okay.
And listen, but I just think that from a man's point of view, you have to look at we all are a creature of habit. And what happens within a relationship is so different because women are such emotional creatures, and we just do everything based upon what we do every single day. And oftentimes we don't know what we're doing until the women sort of like leads us to say, hey, you realize you're doing that? You know, you're right. Perhaps I am. So I think he's just doing what he's doing. Brady's going to be fine. He's worth about $2-3 billion when it's all said and done.
Well, officially 250 million, but that was before he signed the big contract with is it Fox Network to be a commentator after his career is over. But I want to get back to this.
I want to, if I can jump in just for a second, because one of the things that I've been hearing a lot from men is the discounting of Gisele's career. First of all, she is worth more money. That's number one. And as a former model, I'm going to say that the conversation surrounding her work, deeming it less important, not as impactful, is part of the problem. Okay, Gisele is not the reason why he's having a bad season. Why are we?
All right, let's stop there. That was point of contention number one. He's having a bad season.
Mm-hmm.
Except for, Tom Brady was Tom Brady Sunday. A minute left. You guys watched the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Minute left. He was Tom Brady. Drove him downfield, touchdown, walked off the man. That's the Tom Brady that I wanted. I want to remember. I don't want to remember him all broken down and that type of thing. So absolutely, I get that. But here's what triggered him. I tell you what, let's listen some more and then let's see if who got triggered.
Attributing his failure on the field to his wife. Whatever arrangement they had.
Let's unpack that a little bit.
Well, I know where
I
to
take
start.
exception to
I
that.
think the place to start is to realize that by controlling the narrative the way that they have and only telling us the end result at the very end, we have no idea when this started. We have no idea of the timing or the sequence of events behind this decision and this agreement. We don't know. They could have started this in January.
Well, it's been going on for years. It's been reported that she wanted him out of football for years.
But did she ever say that?
I'm sorry?
Did she ever say that? Do we have anything with Gisele saying, I want Tom and I made an agreement.
It's actually on record. Not 3 years, but it's on record that she has made comments over time, years, that she wasn't happy with him playing football. I think last season, she said that, and I don't want to quote her, but how she discussed how football is a violent sport, how he suffers from football. She even brought up the fact that he may have had a concussion from football, and how she didn't want him to play football. And so, and then also, I think that so I heard that with my own ears. And then it was reported that over years they've been discussing. And so I do want to say that, and I don't want to beat up on her, but what I hear a lot, from, especially from females, is that how selfish she is. And I mentioned before how selfish she is and not doing this to her family. But to Andrew Ware's point, this is what a guy's been doing every day, 6 days a week since 6 years old. And, to be drafted toward the end and to be general consensus to be the best to ever do that, ever, it's a hard thing to give up.
And then there's therapy. This is why when people get married, they need to have honest discussions about what the expectations are. Yes, he's been an athlete all his life. He's been number one all of his life. It's hard for him to walk away from it, just like it would be hard for any person in any other public profession to walk away from it. Michael Jordan had to do it. Other athletes have had to do it. I think what is disheartening, displeasing to me about the discussion is how one-sided it is. We know that everyone loves Tom Brady, and that's great. But a lot of the conversations that I've heard and I've read have been centered on how awful she is for forcing him to come home and deal with her and the kids. She should know that he loves football. He can't control his feelings when he's on the court and she's walking away from. Where's the personal responsibility in this?
Do you think it's tied up in patriotism?
100%.
Idea of football as this whole like American thing, because Tom Brady did, I think he said, and I don't know a quote, so don't quote me, but I think he said something like, when he goes into football season, it's basically the same as being deployed.
Yes.
And I'm a veteran, I can tell you it's not the same. But I can understand sort of, what he's getting at. Like, he only knows how to put his head down and be football.
First, I'm a veteran also, and I appreciate your service. And so, what branch?
Air Force.
I take that back. All right, so
Wow.
But he
Wow.
really
Wow.
he-
Wow.
he has
Wow.
to really assess who he is. At the end of the day, Tom Brady will not be Mr. Football forever. Just ask Dan Marino. Just ask the great quarterbacks of this era. There is life after football. And as great as he is, he has to determine, okay, after football, he tried apparently, but so often, as Adrian said, we see the end results of a divorce, but there's so often trouble brewing for years or months, and then something happens, and that is the final straw. So whatever happened, both Giselle and Tom, they are wealthy people. They are going to be okay.
all right, so that's kind of the key. No matter what happens, they're going to be okay financially. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about I'm not going to want to get into the who did what and who did whom and all this other stuff. I really want to talk about, one, can he still play? Two, what type of financial impact does his performance bode for the Tampa Bay at large? Are we looking at businesses that deal in various tourism, maybe restaurants, maybe tourism, maybe something that directly selling merch or something for the team? Are they going to be affected? And then lastly, we all know that he only has one good more years, maybe two. Tom Brady is not, I don't see him as one of those guys. While he is a team player, I do not see him as one of those guys that are willing to be a backup player. So a backup quarterback and let someone else do. So really, what is the exit strategy financially? What is the exit strategy? But before we get there, I want to bring in Joel. Hey man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing super fantastic, everybody. There goes my partner in crime, Roger Silvera.
What's going on, baby?
Chilling.
All right. Topic on of the day. I need you to tell me a little bit about what you do and should he retire, and then let's talk about financial impact.
All right. So, what I do for a living, I'm a financial planner uh, with New York Life, the company that you keep. And I partnered, as a matter of fact, my partner is also on the line. And so, what I do is help draft financial plans that ensure multi-generational legacy wealth, and making sure I'm targeting people that are pillars within society or highly effective leaders, because those are the ones that become an example for the rest of the community, and especially within my community is really where I'm targeting within our Black and Brown communities. That's number one. Number two, in regards to Tom Brady, I don't think he should retire. I mean, the guy is healthy. He keeps himself in stellar shape, right? Um, I mean, this guy's a machine. So why quit something when you're still at your peak? I mean, his quarterback percentages, his score is better than half of the quarterbacks within the league.
That are almost half his age.
Mhm.
Right. So it doesn't make any sense for him to leave. It's unfortunate about his circumstance with his now ex-wife, but at the end of the day, when they got married, this is who he was. That's his identity. So at that point, if she decides that this is nothing that she does not want to sign up for, unfortunately, I think that's reality. Now, the financial impact. I think right now, we're enjoying the financial impact of Tom Brady, although I think there's still been a little bit of a dip in, with them losing a couple of games and people getting a little disheartened. So you don't see the stadium being full like it was last year. So when he does retire, it's going to be a huge impact because, being that I'm from New York, I have friends of mine from being in the music business, and they're telling me, "Hey Jay, can you buy me a Tom Brady jersey so when he comes up to New York or something, I can get it signed because this might be his last." This was like last year. People are asking me for jerseys and things of that nature. Or no, the year before actually when we went to the Super Bowl. But so it goes to show you his monetary impact of the economy here in Tampa Bay. I mean, between the jerseys, the ticket sales, the merchandise, the fact that he has his charity here, as well as he does stuff in on the East Coast of Florida. But when he does leave, that's going to be key, unless he decides to actually live in Tampa Bay. Because keep in mind, he also has a place in Jupiter with his best buddy,
Yeah.
Robert Kraft. So something to think about.
Roger, what is your take on that? Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. We was having a little feedback, so I muted you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think he should retire. I mean, until he's got all the juice in that turnip done. But that's again, it's kind of a situation where you figure what's really going on behind the scenes, because it's not just football that can cause a divorce. I mean, there's got to be something really going on behind the scenes. Again, we will never be privy to. Quite frankly, I don't care because obviously that's somebody else. But with respect to him, I said, look, in his football playing career, that's not time you can get back. So if you still got it, keep at it. I would say his play has somewhat digressed this year. I would say he probably has one more year, maybe. But I would probably even try to retire this season because, in essence, I'm like, look, you're going to be 46. If your play is not as sharp as it was over the last year or two, it may be the writing's on the wall and then saying, look, man, it may not be realistic to play another year. But again, that has really, with all due respect to that, I don't think there's a correlation to that, and completely to understand why they're divorced. There's got to be a lot of other hidden factors that we just don't know about. And yes, that would have been. I mean, it's a big piece, but I don't think it's the whole piece. And so I think there's a lot of things that, again, maybe weren't communicated, or for that matter, maybe some promises that weren't kept, and she felt some type of way. And I can understand, maybe how she feels. And again, there's no way to discount the value that she brings to the table. But for the longest time, she's had to be, caretaker of the kids and stuff like that while he's going out there and doing his thing. And she's gotten to the point where she's like, look, I can't shoulder that responsibility any longer on my own. And, again, all those factors, again, a lot of things that are probably hidden, because I don't think that is the sole purpose of why they got divorced. I refuse to believe that. There's got to be something else in that has caused that. So,
Brian, your take.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree he should retire. I mean, he had his best statistical season just last year as a 45-year-old, which, as a guy who watches a lot of sports, extremely uncommon. Like, this guy's got something special physically where he's able to extend his career in a way that I have never seen a dude do. So it's like, bro, what do you mean you want to quit? Like, obviously you got more juice in your tank than anybody else. You're the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, that's why I'm a little confused with the Giselle thing. Like, she had to know the man she married when she married this guy. Like, you married the most determined, greatest football player of all time. Are you surprised he wants to keep playing football? Like, of course he wants to play football, lady. What are you talking about? Like, he was married to that game before he married you, like, keeping it real. And I think women fantasize about marrying athletes, like they got prestige, they got the money, but like, do you understand the mentality of the best athlete on the planet? Do you understand the grind this man puts himself through? Do you understand how motivated, like, so to tell him, why don't you just turn it off and go retire? Like, lady, I just had my best season ever, 45. Like, I can't quit. Like, so that's, in my mind, no brainer. Like, yeah, of course he came back. Like, this guy is, I mean, have you seen his debut, at the combine? Like, this guy was 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Looked like nothing, man. This guy had
slow as molasses. I thought I saw a baby crawling faster than
bro.
him.
I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. That guy, this man has to have an unbelievable drive to turn that guy into the GOAT, So I don't know what she was, So that's in my opinion. I'm not surprised he wants to keep playing because he still got it, man.
Yeah. He was Tom Brady before he met, her. He was Tom Brady, so and Father Time is undefeated. He only, you can only hold on so long. Performing the way he's performing now at his age, you talking total dedication. You talking doing whatever it takes. And he only has 2 more years to go. So, but again, I don't want to get into, he said, she said type of thing. I just wanted to, to understand from other men what if my opinion was, because the sisters, they were on the brother. They were on a brother. And so I don't even want to go there anymore. I have not nightmares, but let's talk numbers.
Okay.
Here's what Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, according to Forbes, is worth now. Now, I think that this is a little bit old because I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but it shows only one. It says one championship, and as we know, we've won a second one. But the Glazers family purchased it. Now it's for $2 billion. I think I have a stat on that. I'll pull it up. Now it's worth 3.67 billion as of August, according to them, calculated August 2022. Now the Glazers own Manchester United also, so they, you know, they're racking up. The year purchase 1995, paid. Look at this, guys, 192 million. Price paid for the team 1995. Anybody had 192 million? If you know then what you know now, I think we can probably get a bunch of us together. We'll scrape up that 192 million, boy. If we can make 3 billion, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Net operating income 62 million. Players expense 304 million. Gate receipts and so on. Let's see, fan revenue, and so on. But bottom line, here's what the numbers say. He bought it in 1995 for 192 million, and now the team is worth 3.675 billion. Finance guys, is that a good bet?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, without a doubt, and but what you're not. The other thing that a lot of times people don't know also is behind the scenes, these owners, a lot is a major tax write-off for them. Huge, because now they're in the entertainment space. They get to bring in their clients, or they get their friends and family, and this is nothing but a real toy for them. You know, like you said, you know, in 1995 they bought it for 192 million. They're in the black considerably. A lot of times, you know, this ownership is some form of a vehicle, like a trust or something like that. So, you know, they're winning big time.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned, and a lot of people put this type of expenses in trusts and stuff, and that way they can shelter themselves from taxes. And I don't want to get into, because I know that you guys are professionals, and you know, you have that dicey line where you can say certain things and then being held accountable. So I don't really want to go there, but it's fair to say, I think that one, huge financial windfall, but two, the parlaying that with another professional sports team, you got to think that, you know, there's a ton of profits there. And if Tom Brady decides to leave, what's the exit strategy? Who's on the horizon? There's only one Tom Brady. And I came to Tampa when the Bucks were, I mean, we were, you know, and I remember those days. And now we've won the Super Bowl. We're still in first place, considering even considering our play. We're still in first place in our division. We're still receiving the benefit, the Tom Brady effect. But there got to be an exit strategy. There got to be an exit plan. What do you guys think that would be?
As far as on the football field, I don't think there is an exit strategy. And at least in my opinion, NFL, sometimes you just push all in to win that Super Bowl, which we did almost too, very close, you know, so that was a success. After that, if we go to rebuild, you know, I feel like that's kind of the thing, you know, you just draft, rebuild, but like, I don't know if there is a real on the field transitional strategy other than, you know, I'm sure they're building up some of their previous draft picks, but they went all in on Brady and this team, which I'm okay with as a Bucs fan person.
Word on the street, though, is the ability that Lamar Jackson might come
to Tampa.
Remember, Lamar Jackson did not sign that extension with Baltimore. He wanted a long-standing contract. So the word on the street is that potentially that could be the transition is Lamar coming over to Tampa Bay.
Roger, you said you heard that also?
Yeah. And then the other thing too with that is, the Bucks already have an existing nucleus of players. You can just fill holes in. It's not like they would have to start over. I don't believe when you get to this point in their evolution, it's like the Patriots, right? The Patriots don't, go back to scratch and go 1-15 and hope for a high draft pick or get a high draft pick. They're not going to do that. They have a good nucleus of players. They can get a marquee quarterback like a Lamar Jackson. Heck, it's the same thing like Denver. Now, obviously, it hadn't worked out for Denver this year with Russell Wilson for whatever reason. But, prior to the season, it was looking great. Look, Russell Wilson's a marquee quarterback. Still is, albeit the system that he's in is not ideal. But on paper, before the season, we were all raving about Russell Wilson and what he could bring to Denver. And it's the same thing with the Bucks. The Bucks have, you look at Denver, they have an incredible defense. Same thing with the Bucks. They have an incredible set of pieces, both offensively and defensively. Now, Julio Jones is aging, but, these are folks that you can replace. And it only takes maybe 2 or 3 parts to really get back to the top. If you already have an established nucleus, right? That is, it's the same thing with the Rams, right? Jared Goff left. They put Matthew Stafford in there. Guess what? They already had a heck of a defense. They had Aaron Donald, still at his top. Guess what? They won a Super Bowl, right? So I don't see the need to destroy it. It's just, hey, look, Brady's going to go, whether it's this year, whether it's next year. At some point, he's going to go. It's just a fact of the matter. They have to start planning for that transition. And I'm sure they've got individuals on their purview. They're saying, you know what? We can go after a Lamar Jackson or whoever is a marquee individual, and keep it moving. Pay him well, right? Because look, if Baltimore ain't gonna pay him, the Bucks can shell out that cash for him. Somebody's gonna get Lamar Jackson for a prime level, price. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the market right now, heck, I don't know, I forget who the highest. Mahomes is the thing. I think is the highest paid quarterback. I believe. Now he's gonna get Patrick Mahomes money. Maybe not. Maybe he's
Actually, I think Watson might have beaten Mahomes, brother.
Yeah, you're right. So Deshaun Watson is, I think, because his fully guaranteed. And it's the same thing, right? Let's take the Browns as an example, right? Browns have an excellent defense. They just don't have a quarterback now because of his situation. Once you get Deshaun in there for at least a year, you're going to start to see a tremendous transformation in the Cleveland Browns. Now, you take a team like this Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers didn't have the defensive parts. They didn't have a lot, and they drafted a rookie, and guess what? You see their record, right? So they're not meant to build right now. That's going to take a long-term solution, maybe 2 or 3 year solution to get them back to where they need to be. So there are certain teams that are in that stage where, hey, look, is it a ready to be winning team now? The Bucks are, right? They still got a lot of pieces that if you put the right quarterback in place, and if there's a marquee dude on, especially like Lamar Jackson, go after him. Definitely.
Okay, so just some housekeeping. Guys, I know there's a bunch of people in the chat or trying to get in, and we're having technical difficulty on our link again. Moderators, if you guys can drop the link to the show, and I cannot read their chat. So if you can text me privately what their questions are and their chat, and if they want to go on the show, just send them the show link. But I cannot read the chat. All right, so guys, we may have some questions that people may directly text me, and I'll read those out as we continue. But let's do this. Let's look at Tom Brady and go back to this other article that I got. And again, Tom Brady's net worth, and they show him dripping in cash. Here's down here. Now, before the contract, it was saying that Tom Brady has a $250,000. This is the contract I'm speaking about. Is the Fox News commentator contract that's after he retires, but 250,000. And now I'm seeing in one article that he's somewhere around 250 million. And now I'm seeing in another article that he's up to 400 million, which is equal to Giselle's. And just on a divorce, going back to the divorce, I asked one of the lawyers who pays child support and that type of thing, if they even pay child support for the mega rich. And it was an answer was not necessarily, so let's assume that 400 million, Giselle is worth 400 million. There's no child support. They did it. They seem to have really agreed amicably, co-parenting, the whole thing. So let's say that Tom didn't lose half of his net worth. I don't, for these mega rich type of individuals, I think that's probably a fair. So we're looking primarily at Tom Brady's return impact Tampa Bay economy from ticket sales and tourism. And we discussed that a little bit earlier on, where he retired for that 30 days ish or so, quote unquote retired. I want to say that, but it says here the economic impact of sports definitely exists, but it sometimes is not enough to justify public expenditures. And it says that the great thing about Tom Brady coming back is I don't see any way that the public spending money on that. So his decision provides some benefit that nobody's paying for. His decision to come back, they didn't have to build a stadium. They didn't have to do all those things that usually people need to come back. But if they did, what is you guys' opinion? Would we have done whatever was needed to bring Tom Brady back? Because that's the question on the floor.
You mean like the Buccaneer franchise? Would they have spent money to try to bring him back?
Correct. Let's say Tom Brady said, well, he already said that, hey, listen, I need these people around me, and get these individuals, someone, Julio Jones and others. I'm not sure if he was in an initial deal, but let's say, he felt that he needed some improvements at the stadium, or he needed another franchise type player that the Bucs really would have to have gone out on a limb financially to get. Would they have done it?
Yeah, any personnel decisions, in my opinion, they would have immediately bit on that, is within financial reason, because why not? You got the greatest player of all time having the statistically best season of his career. Why wouldn't you get in whatever he wanted? So they got Julio. They tried, injuries happen, whatever. But as far as stadium upgrades, I haven't personally seen that sort of request being made by an active player in the past. But hey, man, for Brady, anything's possible, right?
Well, they did something like that and can correct me, Joel. I know that you live and breathe sports. So, didn't Dallas back in the day they were pressuring Jerry Jones about the stadium and upgrades and that type of thing?
Like Romo was, like Tony Romo, or
I don't remember.
You're talking about before
you're talking about yeah. So that was then, but that wasn't an athlete that was requiring that. That was pretty much a lot of pressure from their fans, as well as just understanding their dynamic and their location, that they wanted to make a shift and they wanted to make big noise. So from what I understood back then, that's when the relationship between Dallas and the Yankees came in. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the New York Yankees and the Dallas Cowboys came together to create their own concession company, hospitality company called Legend. And that was also included as part of the feasibility study in bringing AT&T Stadium with the grandeur of the big TV and the sponsorships galore that you have at that place, and then the state of the art, box seats and anything and everything that you can think of. I mean, it's just one big tailgating party. But that was not something that was pressure from any player in Dallas at the time. That was just pretty much fans understanding the huge opportunity for what Dallas, the owners of Jerry Jones, can do with Dallas in that stadium. But going back to your original question about Tom Brady making concessions, I mean, players have a lot of influence and power, but they don't have that much power to be making demands on a stadium because they have a certain shelf life, right? But the one thing I will say though is what Tom Brady brings his economic value is the fact that he is also a Hall of Fame, right? Like that's eminent. So with him retiring with the Bucs, granted he may not go into the Hall of Fame as a Tampa Bay Buck, or more than likely a Patriot, but keep in mind still, the Bucs are going to be associated with that. So anytime that they can keep bringing him in and having him be more and more endeared with the Tampa Bay family, just makes it that much better. And at the end of the day, America's favorite sport is the NFL. Me being from New York, coming down, I mean, I'm a basketball guy. And then I come down here, and they look at me, they're like, did you play ball? Yeah, I played basketball. I didn't play football, but that's the context of the South, right? And so, for you to have a marquee guy, this guy is the greatest of all time. When it comes down to the NFL, come on now. That's unfathomable. So, when you take that into consideration, I don't know if he can necessarily, even still, I don't know if he has enough influence to make adjustments to the stadium. However, the type of influence he does have, if he's ever interested in having ownership into the Bucs, negotiating a contract, now that is something that I would say would be an interesting question to see. What are you guys' thoughts about that?
Well, I would love to see more ownership from athletes. Kevin Durant, LeBron are two examples that are. Durant, I saw, is trying to get some equity in the Washington Commanders, right? They're called now. I think LeBron's got stake in a European soccer team. They bought like a pickleball team the other day. I think I saw Durant.
Liverpool.
Yeah. So I 100% support ownership because, like you pointed out, if you don't own part of that stadium, like actual equity in it, you're not telling me what to do with my stadium. Like you work here, bro. Like at the end of the day, like So he's an employee, man. Employees never get to tell what's going to happen in the building. Because at the end of the day, like even the GOAT is tradable.
Well, yeah, look at New England, and so
they got rid of him.
Yeah. But when
they regret it though.
Yeah, they thought it was time. They were wrong, but they thought.
I'll give you a scenario here. So when we talk about influence in sports, this is probably more powerful, more evident in European soccer than it is here. So
True.
Those that don't know, there's an athlete named Kylian Mbappe. He's a French soccer player. He's one of the best in the world, probably top 2 or 3 players in the world. So Paris Saint-Germain, which is where he plays with, pretty much needed to keep him because his contract was expiring. Otherwise, he would have went to Real Madrid, which happens to be my team, by the way. So PSG literally paid him. I mean, I'm talking his contract was at least 350 million, 400 million over the life of the contract over 3 years, with an additional 100 million. What was it like a loyalty bonus essentially? Okay, and they gave him the power and the autonomy to decide who should be in the squad, right? So if he got a beef with Neymar, he can say, look, I don't want this dude on the team. They gave him that much clout, that much freaking autonomy, and it's gone to his head. Literally, he has turned from a innocent teenager when he won the World Cup to now being a lot of people's hit list in terms of, look, we don't like this dude because of his arrogance. And that's a situation where a club pretty much goes above and beyond, literally above and beyond. Like they paid him a king's ransom. And it's not even just the money, it's the power that went with the money. So I don't see an NFL team doing that with anybody. Anybody. Not Tom Brady. I don't care if Tom Brady was 35. They wouldn't do it with him. It's a completely different culture, a completely different mindset. It happens, like I mentioned, in European sports, specifically soccer. And that's a perfect example of a power struggle between a player and then you got ownership. And in their case, you got the Qatari government that owns Paris Saint-Germain, right? So you talking about no shortage of money for it's days upon days worth of cash that they can throw out at him. And so no number was small. Look, if they wanted to pay him $1 billion a week, they could probably do that. I'm being facetious, but you get my point. It's the aspect of not just the money, but the power that went with the money, the choices and the autonomy to say, look, if I don't want Neymar on the team, the hell with him. He can go, and I can decide that. And so I'm like, look, first and foremost, he's a player. He's an employee of the club. He's not the coach, and so therefore he should not have that type of autonomy, right? And I was like, there's no way on God's green earth I would give a kid, because he's a kid, he's 23 years old, that type of clout and autonomy. There's just no way. Again, it goes beyond the money. Is he worth the money? That's arguable. I mean, shoot, I don't think anybody's worth that. But to the impact that he has on PSG as a team, has an impact on French soccer, and it has an impact on soccer internationally in general. But I give you that example because it's a completely different culture here in America. Look, if you look at let's take Aaron Judge as an example, right? Aaron Judge is up for contract. The Yankees, Yankees already gave him, how much was it, Jay? They gave him what, 260 million, and he turned it down?
Yeah.
Look, Aaron Judge is worth all that and then some. But there's a difference between telling somebody, hey, look, I don't want Giancarlo Stanton on the team because he's lazy, right? And he's not. I'm just being facetious, but you get my point.
Right.
It's the idea of, do we pay this dude 350, 400 million, 450 million? But what comes with that? Right? Is he expecting to do something else or be something else above and beyond what he's here for, which is to be a top tier player, right? So that's another perfect example of a guy that, do you give that much money and that much power to keep him? Potentially. I mean, if you're the Yankees, look, you got the money to do it. The question is, do you want to do it? Right? Because if he already turned down 260, they know they're going to have to pay him 350, 400 million probably to keep him. Are they willing to do it? That's the question that's going to be answered here this offseason.
I mean,
No,
I think
I
it
just
goes.
wanted to go from is a player worth it? Going back to how much an individual player brings to Tampa. And you can see it, there. Let's look at the Lightning. The seasons where the Lightning or if there's a home game, if the Lightning is doing well, you can tell just downtown. Downtown is buzzing. Um, Restaurants stay open later. Merch is off the chain. You can't get enough merch. How much is that economic impact? First to the city, but then also to the fan. What do you guys think on that?
Uh, I don't think the average fan receives an economic bonus from the team being better, right? I mean, not that I'm aware of. The energy's better. Like I was in Orlando when the Magic went to the finals. It was electric. Like obviously we're here. The Lightning have gone. So nothing really to the fan, but to the city, it's immense. Because more people are going to show up, more beers are going to get poured, more food is going to get ordered. You're going to generate a higher revenue amount. They're really, with the whole Water Street, they're really reorganizing. Bill Gates and Jeff Vinnick are rethinking out that whole plan downtown to optimize, in my opinion, when the teams are good, when the Lightning are good in the future, once they're done building, they can properly capitalize on bringing even more and more people. I'm sure we'll have more Super Bowls downtown, but yes, having good players for sure brings in more money, which is why you pay good players more money. You win titles, you give them bonuses because it feeds the system of keeping the hype machine going. How do you sell a season ticket if your team sucks? That's a big part of every season is the summertime, those just calling, dialing, trying to sell out all the it's just easier when you have good players. The money just flows a lot easier. Jersey
Let's look
sales
at the
flow, everything flows.
let's look at the Water Street project. Let me add this to the stream. Okay, so we can't do the sound because of I don't want to get a copyright strike. But now remember, the Water Street project was not the Lightning started winning before we even started really considering in earnest the Water Street project. And if you can see in their little marketing thing how most of the stuff have you guys been downtown recently? Most of the stuff is vertical. A lot of the stuff is vertical.
Yes.
And you can see that they're selling lifestyle. That's what let's face it, that's what they're doing. They're selling lifestyle. And when you think about selling lifestyle, well, you got to sell entertainment. It's hard to sell a luxury lifestyle without have some entertainment outlet. You have a football team, you have a basketball team not too far away. You have a baseball team not too far away. You're living next to a hockey team. There's places to go to. There's high-end restaurants. There's high-end apartments and condos. Universities. USF has another medical center down here, and so on. So the Bucks are part of that. The Bucks are part of that equation.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about the Bucks, you're thinking Tom Brady. That's the face that comes to mind.
I mean, I think there's a certain powerful thing that he brings, which is cachet and viability to a city that is still growing. And it's basically throwing gasoline on the fire, in terms of, people wanting to come to Tampa. And now that they see Tampa, they see it as such a viable, growing, progressive city, akin to a Charlotte or something to that effect. So people, will come and say, well, hey, you know what? I could get behind the Bucks, or, whatever case may be, because I see the excitement and stuff like that. And again, he's going to bring people to the city because of who he is name wise. What I love also, similar to baseball, because, the Yankees train here, right? And so people want to see the Yankees in spring training, and that's going to bring a heck of a lot of exposure and revenue opportunity for Tampa in that regard when the spring comes. So Tampa's very much positioned and has been positioned over the last few years in that regard because of the types of individuals that have been here, living here, and then who they know. And I think there's a huge effect on, again, Brady being here. And not even just that, even if he decides to stay here and make Tampa his permanent residence, the business opportunities that could come about, long after he's done playing has a ripple effect on many different things that this city can do. So that's what's exciting, is that we're in an upward trajectory as far as not only exposure and cachet, but also different industries that are being attracted here, just simply because of things like Tom Brady being here, right? People know the name, they know who he is, and again, that exposure, you can't put a price tag on it.
Yeah, I like to add to that too, Roger. To piggyback what you're saying, you're so right on that, very on point. Because I've been here in Tampa now for almost 20 years, and I was here the year after they won the Super Bowl, and but that's not what attracted me to Tampa. It was the fact that my sister-in-law moved down here. We came to visit her, fell in love with Tampa, fell in love with the lifestyle, fell in love with the affordability of buying a house was so inexpensive, and we fell in love with it. But it was like a best kept secret. I've been telling my friends up north, man, you guys got to come down to Tampa, come down to Tampa. Even when we had the Super Bowl in Tampa several years later, people came down, they loved the city, they enjoyed it. But I tell you, that Tom Brady effect is real, because when Tampa Bay went to the Super Bowl at Ray J and people came down during COVID, could you imagine if we didn't have COVID? From that point forward, so keep in mind, Tom Brady already has a marquee name. People already was looking for him to be vindicated because the way he was treated by the Patriots. And Tom Brady is a household name, not just in New England, all across the country, right? So now he's in Tampa Bay. People come to the Super Bowl, or other people from other teams when they have to come play the Bucs, and then now they get to experience the whole Tampa Bay experience. The
Right.
beaches.
So I read an article that because of COVID, we lost $110 million, I guess, somewhere around in there. Tampa Bay Business Journal kind of did one of their figuring. And you're right. Think what would have happened if we didn't have COVID. But then also think what would have happened if we didn't have that blown pass, that blown defense. Last year, we would have been in the Super Bowl
close,
again.
Man. That close.
What do you say, Brian?
I mean, I saw what happened during COVID. I was in Ybor. It was a mess, man. It was a lot going on out during that year when they came. And my friend came down from New York, and I had some other friends come in town, and they were like kids that got let out the house. They're just running around like, oh my God, everything's free and open. Like it was, and they were going nuts.
Yeah, we didn't close. If you died, you died. I mean, we didn't.
Yeah, it was. You had a chance at dying at Ybor that night, bro. There was 3 shootings that night, I think. So it was lit. But the New Yorkers were losing it, man, because it was in the height of all the lockdowns, and it was a stark different. Like I visited my brother in California right after, and like it felt different down here, So we lost some for sure, but it was still a special time just because the Super Bowl was in town. and it was like the biggest event I've been to in months because of COVID. So it was a really big event under the circumstances. But to your point though, we definitely lost some money because it would have been way bigger without COVID. It would have been off the rails. But you know, I'm glad it happened. Tampa's definitely trending in the right direction. I grew up here, and I know, you know, Super Bowl came here a couple times, and they've been slowly developing downtown. Like downtown, when I was a kid, it went to sleep at 5, 6. You know, the corporate people went home. That was it. Nobody was downtown. You know, but it's evolved a ton. A lot more bars, a lot more entertainment. Obviously, Water Street. So Tampa Bay, the Bucks, even the Rays too. Like that whole, it was really the Champa Bay time that was really, you know, the phrase, you know. So Tampa, that helped big time to push us over the top. And I mean, as a Tampa native, now with the prices of housing going up, you know, it's like, hey, maybe we should pump the brakes a little. We should stop so many people come down driving our pricing up, you know. Because Joel, you mentioned when you came here, it was a steal, man. It was a steal to come
Not
to Tampa.
anymore.
Those days are long gone, and that's just comes a part of the territory. Like, if you want to be a winner, you want to be a nice city. Hey, man, Miami ain't cheap, New York ain't cheap, Cali ain't cheap. You know, it's gonna get expensive, and it just kind of comes with the territory of like, yeah, sure, you know, our value's going up, but you got to make some more if you want to enjoy it.
So a couple of points to that. You're right. For the normal person, downtown has been outpriced. They're building a new 52-story condo luxury building that is $1,000 a square foot.
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 a square foot, and that's not the penthouse. You know,
who's moving there? Who's moving there? That's always my question: is who's buying these places or renting
and
them?
the reason why the mega rich or, you know, those type of people can move here and buy it is because of our exposure. Just like Joel said, you know, we're on the map because of the marquee value, the celebrity, you know, and so Roger, you deal with people that are, and both of you guys deal with people that are very high net worth. And I would imagine that they're thinking Tampa Bay is a good bet, which
I've got
brings us
clients.
back to our original topic.
Sure.
Is Tom Brady still blue chip? Roger, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I've got clients from all over the country, and they see Tampa as a viable city, you know, to visit. But then they see what's offered here, and they automatically want to come and live here. Yeah, I think there's a lot of effect to him, and again, it goes beyond the pale of his playing career. If he chooses to be here, at least in some contexts, have a home here, be here in some capacity, be here in the community, at least in some way, shape, or form, he's going to bring economic dollars to the city without question. It's because of who he is and his reputation in the community, and a reputation for that matter worldwide. I think he'll be connected to Tampa in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if he'll live here full time, but yeah, I think again it goes beyond the pale of just simply just playing. That ship is almost at the end of where we expect him to be. Again, if he plays another year, if he's healthy enough, and God willing he is, but if he decides to do that, great. But if he just decides to call it a day, and take that Fox job, which I think could be incredible for him. Like I said, same thing with Jeter. Jeter had been here for a while, and then when he got to the ownership group in Miami, he picked up and left for Miami, and eventually sold. Now they're thinking about knocking down that home on Davis Island completely. Right.
I'm going to do a show on that. $21 million. Tampa businessman bought it and going to tear it down.
Yeah.
$21 million tear down.
But you figured because Derek Jeter and Tom Brady have lived there, and and stuff like that. That house, just not just from a financial perspective, the cachet, the celebrity of it is beyond that. And so again, going back to your point about or your question, I was like, look, yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to have a great effect here. It's a ripple effect that will last for decades to come because, again, of what he's brought economically, what he's brought happiness wise to the city, and like you mentioned, Brian, about the area of Tampa Bay, that whole era where the Lightning were in two Stanley Cups in a row, and you got the Bucks following up. That's a heck of a time in Tampa sports history. The Rays getting to the World Series, right? Let's not forget them.
Right.
That whole time frame was an incredible time frame for Tampa sports. And it shows the evolution behind not just the sporting teams, but just also the fan bases around it. I can have my opinions on the Rays Stadium. They need a stadium in order to be here. They deserve a stadium, right? But, they don't have the economic clout not even like the Atlanta Braves, right? Let alone the Yankees. But, if the Rays had, owners that had deep pockets, they could attract big name free agents potentially like an Aaron Judge, right? Can you imagine an Aaron Judge here in Tampa, full-time, playing here? The economic impact that would have here in this city would be immeasurable. Unfortunately, the Rays don't have a big payroll, and I won't speak any further to that. But I think there's some merit there. But yeah, the last couple of years, man, we've seen Tampa grow economically without question. Part of that again has to do with Tom Brady and his effect here and his presence here.
Well, the way I like to look at it is, Tom Brady is that dangling carrot, right? That's that, that bling bling that attracts people to want to see, okay, what's going on here, because you already know the value of what he is and what he brings to the table. Mm-hmm. And he's definitely a blue chip. He's definitely a blue chip if he plays another year. And keep in mind, there were rumors also that potentially Tom Brady was thinking about, joining the Dolphins because eventually they were going to offer him some form of ownership of the Dolphins. So if I were, the Glazers, I would definitely want to have some type of affiliation with Tom Brady, where if they can offer him some form of ownership, because again, that's going to draw people. It's already drawing people to the Tampa Bay area, as you can tell. Prior to the Tom Brady effect, and you look at real estate prices, and of course, the COVID effect definitely had a major impact to it. But I got to tell you, that was the eye-opening experience after that Super Bowl, and where more and more people that I heard, and they realized, oh, there's no state tax in Florida? Really? Oh, you guys are open? You guys are outside? You don't have to wear a mask? Like, really? And I can buy me a house and have a little bit of a yard, or I could be outside, or I can buy a beach house in Clearwater or Dunedin or any of these places. Without a doubt, that definitely made a huge effect in regards to that. And I would say, and even furthermore, there's still growth. I have friends of mine that manage the Water Street project, David Bever, that he talks about all the time how Tampa Bay is ranked in the top 5.
Yeah.
It's ranked in the top 5 of cities to live. Not even top 5, really top 3 cities to move into, and even to retire.
I didn't know that we got that from Sarasota. I know Sarasota is always been one of the top ones, but article after article You see that a lot of prominent, papers and business journals are ranking Tampa Bay as absolutely the top five, if not the top, first, second, or third place. And so I want to add one more thing to the stream and get you guys' comment on this. Here we go. I'm gonna pop this in. It says, even though the NFL is already the best thing on TV, when Tom Brady is on a game on TV, the people are 15% more likely to engage with the ads in those games than the average across the NFL. So this is something that is huge, because if you think you have 15% more engagement and you are a known household name like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Tide, or something like that, and you can get 15% more sales with Tom Brady on the field versus Tom Brady being off the field. That's huge. That is huge. So it's not only a Tampa Bay thing, but then it's a major corporation effect that Tom Brady has.
Yeah, that's like a psychological impact or something. Like, I guess if you're a fan of Brady, you enjoy watching Brady, you see him doing well, you're receiving dopamine hits and put you in a better mood. And maybe you want to buy some Tide now. I don't know why exactly that would happen, but it's got to be just he's making people happy. Happy people probably just want to buy, if I had to guess at it. But I mean, that's 15% a lot, in the business world. Doesn't sound, but that's a lot, a big measurable difference. I would be curious to see if you could get numbers on like Aaron Rodgers, like Michael Vick in his heyday, and LeBron and certain other celebrities. I'd be curious to see how much they move that needle. But I don't know, because if they didn't, that'd be super strange if it's like a uniquely Tom Brady thing versus like the marquee guy who's exciting just tends to sell more stuff. You see what I'm saying?
Right. I'm gonna have to look into that, because I only pulled up Tom Brady, but you're right. I'm wondering if Mahomes or some of these other people have
Ron, whoever.
Yeah. LeBron. I know Jordan had moved the needle. I know Tiger Woods moved the needle.
Hey, ain't nobody sold more merchandise than freaking Jordan, probably, right? I mean,
right.
Not that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do some research and see if we can find someone like that. But if it's a known that, and I'm going to circle back, if it's a known that Tom Brady moves the needle, let's say conservatively 10%. Okay, they said 15, conservatively 10%, which is still billions of dollars. Does he have an obligation to stick on as long as he can? Does he have an obligation that if he can still play and want to play, to his sponsors, to the city, to others? Does that weigh into his psyche? I'm wondering. Joel, what's your take on that? You're an athlete. You was an athlete. You did the whole thing. Tell us a little bit about your career, and did you play a little bit longer because of someone an entity outside of yourself?
Well, I wasn't no professional athlete. It was just only in college, NYU basketball. But I tell you,
hey, listen, brother. Look, the only thing I played was Navy football. Okay, so that is a celebrity in my book.
But what I will say is, it definitely plays a role in the decision making, because guys like the Tom Brady's and the LeBron Jameses of the world, they now understand the business of sports, right? And the longer that they can stay in it, the more records that they can break, the more that they're in that GOAT conversation is what makes them marketable for many, many, many years to come, right? Dan Marino was the man, and he was a sports announcer, and then all of a sudden, he's no longer a sports announcer on CBS anymore. They got Tony Romo, right? Tony Romo has not one championship. I don't know if he's won a playoff series, right? But they love him as an announcer. So his marquee has gone up. So could you imagine a guy like Tom Brady, who's won 7 Super Bowls and now is, really cementing himself as the greatest of all times? I mean, was it 100,000 yards? I mean, he's just killing records all day, every day. So every single time he's getting on the field, he's creating a new milestone, a new benchmark that not too many people are ever going to achieve, because these athletes are not built like Tom Brady. And let's leverage the whole LeBron effect. LeBron is another one. 19 years in the league. 19 years in the league. And he's, this year, more than likely, he's going to surpass, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And, LeBron has endorsements beyond. And he has his businesses. And so what you do on the field or on the court translates to all the different enterprises that you have outside that allows you to just, really blossom. I mean, the most successful entrepreneurial, sports figure is Michael Jordan. Do you guys know that the Michael Jordan brand is worth $4.6 billion in revenue? And do you know that Under Armour is $5.7 billion in revenue? They say that pretty much Michael Jordan, the Jordan brand itself, would be the 5th largest athletic brand if it wasn't associated with Nike. So it goes to show you, and Jordan brand, of course, is associated with Nike.
Right.
That's how powerful Nike is. And keep in mind, Tom Brady has some type of endorsement deal. Probably more than likely, he probably have the ownership situation with Under Armour. And, and I mean, Tom Brady has even more championships than Michael Jordan, and he's not, I don't know if he's going to necessarily beat Jordan with the Jordan brand, right? So, but there's an opportunity. There's definitely potential. There's definitely, as Roger would keep saying, there's that cachet. Sky's the limit, right?
Well, a couple of things I want to point out about how I think that no one will ever beat his record that he's padding. Let's face it, like you said, every time he hits step on the field, there's a new record. And so, he's padding his record, but then also, who's want to dedicate their life for as long as they wanted to? And then lastly, I'm kind of thinking that outside there's an outside chance because of the new rules that they have for quarterbacks. You can't touch them, and you hit them only between here and here, and if you scream at them loud, it's a foul, that type of thing. So
right.
Brian, what do you take? What's your take on that? I think we all agree that Tom Brady is the GOAT.
Yes.
Yeah.
But will anyone ever break any of his records? The 100,000 yards, I think, was last Sunday, right?
Yes, they will, for reasons you just pointed to, honestly, because the game wants people to break his record, because yards are, it's exciting. Touchdowns are exciting. That's why they're, protecting the quarterback in that inordinate way like that, because they want to see guys come out and do it. And I mean, I'm not that old, but I've been watching sports long enough to see every time I think I've seen the best guy, like a new guy comes out. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Victor Wembanyama from the new #1 guy who's supposed to be
basketball player from France.
Better prospect than LeBron, according to everybody. Like, what's that kid going to do? What's the kid who comes out? I don't know, so under that mentality, like, yeah, somebody's going to beat it because the game is changing. It's going to lean towards the offense, and people are going to put up gaudy numbers eventually.
Yeah. So,
I'm not sure if it will be, maybe eventually, but
one last thing, wild card is the medical ability, the ability to keep these guys healthy enough to stay on the field. That's the wild card.
You're right. And that's the reason why I'm saying that. Like, I look at like does the Deshaun Watson have what it takes to be like a Tom Brady? Absolutely.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be. I judged him too. He could be, yes.
Right. But he's injury prone. That's and going back to your point where you say, you know what, how healthy these guys are. Mahomes, I think potentially, but he runs too much still. He still runs too much. Lamar Jackson, that's another.
He has to run.
Right.
Give the brother a line. He's running for his life.
Right. So that's why I'm like, and the amount of years that Tom Brady has put in is, I mean, the average quarterback is probably in the league for what, maybe 10 years max? 10, 12? I mean, this guy's doing almost 20, right? So that's why I'm like, I don't know if this record could really ever be broken.
All right, so we talked about the Fox contract, and it looks like it's worth $375 million over 10 years. Just that one contract. That's real money. That's real money.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has other endorsements deal. And I saw the one where it was he was doing something with, I don't want to plug anybody, but let's say he was doing something with housing. He's doing something on the golf course. He has other branding opportunities. Jordan is worth under $2 billion, like is it 1.8 billion or something like that? Jordan.
So let me fact check it.
I know Oprah is still, it's still
I was
Oprah.
reading Brady lost some money investing in a crypto exchange.
Yeah.
We all know which direction crypto went.
Yeah. 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 So
1.
my question is
1.7 billion for Michael Jordan.
Okay, that's why. Yeah, for some reason, 1.8 was in my head. And can Brady, because Tom Brady is the golden boy, he's the modern age Dan Marino. I'm sorry,
Montana.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And even the divorce was handled, first class. I mean, no one drug no one else in the street. They did it behind doors. They announced when it was over. They're doing co-parenting. You don't hear anything about this person cheated on this person, this and all this drama stuff. They did what they did. They split amicably. So I had the branding expert on last show, and she felt that his brand was still intact. Mm-hmm. In fact, a couple of the comments were his brand was polished. He actually got, because he handled it so well, they became more popular. Does he have a chance to catch Jordan with the endorsement deals and other branding opportunities? What say you guys?
I would say no until he starts building his own. Well, he has his own businesses, of course, but to really get to the upper billions, you have to, because Jordan doesn't have money in cash. He's got asset valuations. He owns the Wizards. A lot of that's probably Wizard money. Just like they're worth $3 billion, he owns 30% or whatever. You know, so I feel like Brady has to get into some ownership to have some assets appreciate, like the way those Glazers bought the Bucks for 250 or whatever, and now it's 3 billion. Like, you know, that's how I feel like he would have to catch Jordan, because just cash from endorsement deals, by the time he gets taxed, like he's gonna have to do something to have his asset valuation balloon without just getting straight cash.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, the deal with Jordan is that Jordan brand is what really propelled Jordan's net worth.
Does he own that brand?
Yes,
Does
he
he?
owns
Okay.
he owns that brand. He owns that brand with Nike. Yeah.
So
So
he's
it was
It's a
instead of it.
it's a
Okay.
co-deal, right? It's not, he don't own it outright. Is that correct?
that is correct. Yeah, it's a co-ownership deal, but he has a good percentage. I mean, now he's been able to negotiate a good percentage of that deal with Nike, where he owns the majority of it, and Phil. I mean, they have such a great relationship. They built that, and that's the only thing that Brady is missing
Yeah.
is the aspect of having some form of a marquee piece of merchandise, something physical that people could buy that they say that's a Tom Brady shirt or jersey or clothing line or, you know, football or something, you know, that people are like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. I think they try to do something like that with Under Armour. It's not quite happening. I mean, currently right now, The Rock is really doing a really great job of pushing his merchandise with Under Armour, and that's selling a lot. And I think that's helping him. And I think Tom Brady's missing out on that. But when it comes down to other opportunities and him being the golden child, there is a strong possibility he can surpass Jordan because of the fact that he has relationships with the Robert Krafts of the world. He has relationships with, you know, anyone and everybody wants to be affiliated with Tom Brady, especially when he leaves.
How
So,
international is Brady's brand though? Like, do people know who Brady is in China or anywhere else? Like, Jordan to me is an international name, you know? So like, I don't know if that Brady brand resonates the same everywhere like a Jordan.
Well, let's look at some of the things that he's into. Okay, so this is according to AOL, Tom Brady, during his 22-year career in the NFL, has earned a staggering $100 million of endorsements from brands like Under Armour, IWC watches, Molecular mattress, Aston Martin. I didn't know he did anything with Aston Martin. Upper Deck, UGG, Foot Locker, another watch, and so on, and Hertz. So I've seen some of the Hertz stuff, but he doesn't have that signature, like Joel was saying. He doesn't have that, in my mind, that signature. You know, when you think basketball, you think basketball shoes, Jordan. You think cultural, Jordan. You,
Mhm.
yeah,
you know, it
This guy was a once in a lifetime branding figure. Like, there's not going to be another. I mean, there's branding guys, but Jordan was a special moment, and he invented like the whole industry of the shoe, like, you know, like he was a special case. You know, like he was a
I
special
mean,
case.
think about it. You know, we stood online to get Jordans.
Yeah.
Our kids waited online to get Jordans. They still get online to get Jordans. Jordans are on StockX, right? I mean, there's resale value of his sneakers.
Yes.
People have it in storage. I mean, that's the like that marquee that we were talking about, that signature staple. And then from there, he was able to leverage everything else. Tom Brady does not have that yet. When he does, when he can identify something, when someone that's on his team can kind of help him create something, then it's watch out, because like I said,
Do you think football is popular enough? Because football internationally, like I was saying, like basketball has grown a lot. Like, how many guys in the league are from other countries? You know, how many guys in the NFL are from other countries? Not
That's
a
a
whole
very good
lot.
point.
You know, like the brand is deep. Like his well he's dipping out of is bigger than the NFL's well. Like China alone, like how much billions, you know, these guys watch the NBA. They don't even know who Brady is. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, no,
he's got a
that's a very good
chance,
point.
but it's not as big of a, and I like the NBA a lot. I mean, obviously you guys watch, like, so I'm happy the NBA has grown to no, it's not soccer, obviously, but it's trending in that direction of like being like a soccer, which NFL couldn't hold like the jock strap for, you know, international soccer, you know, like, cause it's a whole nother tier of celebrity and athlete, you know. So like Brady is the greatest, obviously, in the NFL, but he is an American celebrity straight up. And I don't think he can become bigger than that.
You know what, you mentioned a very great point, Brian. You are absolutely correct, because you're right. I mean, if Brady were to go to China or India, they'd be like, who?
He's just another white guy, man.
Yeah, so-called white guy. You know,
He's
that's
just a
like
white
something you
man.
played
He's
in the
not Brady
NBA.
over there.
You know, do you play in the NBA? You know?
Yeah, watch Jordan walk down the street in China and watch what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He ain't going nowhere without being Michael Jordan. You know, Brady
Right.
turns into some guy when he leaves America.
Right. And therefore, I don't think that while he is the big fish, his pond is so much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he can catch Jordan.
No,
I
it's
don't.
about markets. It's how big is your market. Like, it's if you have a smaller market, I don't care what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have $1 billion market, the next guy's at a $10 billion market, you're never gonna catch that guy. You know, because he's in a different pond than you are. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right. All right. So I think that we talked about, it's fair to say that a celebrity, we talked about the Tampa Bay market, but I think that, and we brought up Patrick Mahomes, that they do have they can give a market a push. And we covered that a lot of big money will gravitate to that market because of the celebrity of it. Let's face it. You know, you have high-end dining, back to Water Street, you have high-end dining, you have, you know, beautiful waterfront accommodations. You can afford, you know, if you are a hedge fund or some, you know, somewhere in the upper management, or, you know, you're used to New York numbers and you come to Tampa, yeah, $1,000 square foot, that's a lot in Tampa, but in New York, you know,
That's common.
that's a deal. That, you know, and so they can afford that coming here. And they have the teams, they have the weather. You know, yeah, we get washed out every now and then, but hey, it's pretty warm and it's pretty good generally. You have a growing economy. We didn't touch on it today, but politically, you have you know, we got it going on in Tampa, and so I can see where coming here would be an advantage. But in other areas, as I do my research, those celebrities for that area can bring a financial impact. The only question is that I kind of still is out there in my mind is you got to have, Brian, you said this, is that the teams rebuild all the time. And so will the Bucs run until the wheels fall off and just say, okay, hey, we just rebuilding and take the financial hit? That's really to be seen. I would think that it's hard to replace a Tom Brady. So unless it's another marquee player coming in and giving him a year or so or a couple of years to kind of catch his stride, we're going to take a hit.
Yeah, and NFL teams very rarely stay good for a long time. Sometimes, and it's always on the hitch the wagon to a marquee quarterback. Like, if you don't have a QB, you don't have a team. And like, you're not. I mean, the Bucs won with Brad Johnson or whatever, you know, but they had a legendary defense That's not common, and it's not common to just get another marquee quarterback. I didn't know Lamar was considering Tampa. Theoretically, if he came to Tampa, we'd be competitive, but it's really hard to win a Super Bowl. And when I said they would like fall off, I was saying in the sense of like they're not going to be like a Super Bowl, like we're going to win a Super Bowl this year type team. Like they could go make some noise. There could be a decent team, but if you want to be like I'm a Super Bowl contender, I feel like they pushed the chips all in. They went and got the same team back. You remember after they won the Super Bowl, like almost the entire team, which is extremely rare because NFL teams get pillaged way worse than NBA teams year over year by the free agency. Because it just happens. The turnover is high in the NFL. The contracts aren't that long because the careers aren't that long. And it's just tougher, in my opinion, to like run it back or whatever in football than like basketball or certain other sports.
Right. I would say though, these owners do have the mindset at times that business runs in cycles, and so does their season of winning, and then so when they get to a certain point of going with throwing all the chips in, and then they don't make it, then they're ready to just disassemble everything and then move on from there and understand that what it is what it is. But they were able to take their profits during those high years. So if they're not able to get like say a Lamar Jackson or any other marquee player to come in, it is what it is. At that point, truly speaking, those owners already made out like a bandit during that time period, and so have their friends who are developers, who are the quiet movers and shakers within that city, because they already know that certain things are happening, and so they already start moving their assets to other places. So it's going to definitely affect us when Tom Brady leaves, but we've definitely made out, and people have been introduced to the Tampa Bay lifestyle. We have a great airport that it makes it very easy to get to any major city in no time. It's pretty efficient. So I think we'll be fine in Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't plan on leaving. Are you guys?
Not anytime soon. Oh, you got muted, David. And he's gone.
And he's gone. The moderator's gone. It's all
yeah,
good.
I don't know what to do now.
We'll keep it going. But I just think that what's great is that we do have a person like a Tom Brady that really gives us a major lift. Hockey is definitely its own niche, and who would have thought that hockey would be endeared in a southern city, right?
Yeah. Which, if you think about it, hanging out in a cold building sounds pretty good in the summertime, right?
It sure does.
Yeah,
it sure does.
Shoot, I don't want to go to a hockey arena in a cold place.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens with the Rays. That's, I think, is the $1 million question, right? Because they have a longer season than both teams combined, both hockey and football.
The sport of baseball itself is on the decline. It's not an uptrending sport. They're trying to struggle with like getting millennialized. The average age of viewership is the highest of any other sport. So they're having a crisis of like, who the hell is going to watch this stuff pretty soon? Because a lot of kids, it's just slow for the TikTok generation. So I wouldn't bet on baseball if it was me. I like the Rays, whatever, but business doesn't care about feelings. I wouldn't bet on the Rays personally, or baseball in general, because I just don't see it trending in the right direction.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I hit the wrong button there and got dropped off. I'm glad you guys carried on. I appreciate that. So in wrapping up, we talked about Tom Brady and some of the investments that he can do, and maybe some ways that he can park his money. We don't have we may not have Tom Brady type of money, but we may have some investments opportunities that are coming up as we look at, as we mentioned, Tampa is growing. Tampa is more and more becoming a destination. Bryant, you deal with franchises, and
Yes.
without talking about any type of particular franchise, if someone had some money to park, or if someone were getting into franchise, what are some of the things that they would need to do, and to really make a living from franchising?
Well, for franchising, if you want to replace your salary and live off of your franchise ownership, you probably will need to plan on opening up a territory, like a area development agreement, and get more than one. I tend to have to set people expectations about what a net profit out of a business really looks like, because people often have grandiose visions of like how much you're going to really get in your account after tax and everything. And a lot of times it's like 70, 80, maybe, out of a franchise. Like, people see a Subway or something, these guys aren't making over six figures out of these things, most likely out of one, So so hypothetically, if you want to live a decent life, get 150, 200,000, you got to really open 2 to 3 generally of a smaller style. There are bigger concepts out there where it's like, okay, it may cost you $1 million to build like a launch entertainment center, or like some larger franchise venture that can get you a higher net out of one location. But generally, franchising is designed to have multiples. So that's kind of what I would say is, hey, figure out what industry you want to be in, because there's a lot. Find the kind of lifestyle you want to try to live. Most people are naturally attracted to restaurants, but restaurant touring is extremely tough. I'm sure you guys know some restaurant owners somewhere who have some gray hair early on, because it sucks sometimes, and like you can get easier money out of franchising, which is really my main mission, is drive people towards the easy money. It's about that like investment. Oh, were you about to ask? I don't want to rant too long.
No, go ahead, please.
But yeah, the ratio I always talk about is just the time investment versus your money output. If I make $50,000 a year, but I'm only working 2 hours a week, that's an excellent ratio of effort to, because then I can do a whole lot. I can stack that up, but if I'm working 60-hour weeks and I get $50,000 a year, that sucks, because then I'm working really hard. The ratio is upside down. So I try to get people in that executive mentality. You have to be able to manage your time, and get into a position where you're not overexerting yourself in a way that you didn't see coming. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, Joel, where can I park my money, man? I got some money. I got a franchise.
Now, I can't talk about that.
I got 150 G's.
I can't. I can't talk about that. What I can talk about is you can set up an appointment. You can set up an appointment with me on calendly.com/JJ Sylvain, and then I can sit down with you and help you come up with a financial plan, with a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. If you have your own business, I can do the same thing. I can help even create 401ks for you, group benefits, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, if you have $50,000, like, what I can tell you is come see me. We can set up an appointment, and then we'll come up with a very robust plan, especially taking into consideration of making sure we spend minimal amount of taxes so your money grows as tax-free as possible.
That's it.
That's the key. That's the key thing about wealth. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep, baby.
Hey, Joel, do any of your clients request to get into business ownership or franchising ever?
Normally not really. Most of the time, they are usually already have a franchise, or they already have a business, and so they are reaching out to me to help them, kind of optimize and keep key employees. One of the biggest things when you have a business and you have a financial planner is that now we can say, hey, you know what? Perfect example is, would you rather work 60 hours and only make the $50,000? Or would you rather have a key employee making that money for you, generating that revenue where you could be off doing other things and you just highly compensate them by giving them the golden handcuffs, right? And so
Yes.
I help with creating those key executive benefit plans so that now that owner can run the business, not be in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would they get in contact with you again?
Just jump on my Calendly link, CALENDLY.com/JJ Sylvain, and schedule a 45-minute call with me where we can just, figure out what your goals are, what your dreams are, what your aspirations are, so that I can help you deliver on those desired outcomes.
Awesome.
And
sir, how would we contact? How's the best way to contact you?
You could go to my website, apexfranchiseconsulting.com. That's like it's APEX franchiseconsulting.com. And you can book a consultation on that site. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but my services are completely free to the clients. I get paid by the franchisors. So any work I do with anybody is always completely free.
Awesome. Hey, listen, I want to thank you guys for this very, very open-ended and broad conversation about yes, go ahead, Joel.
Well, wait a minute. We got to talk about David Carmena Enterprises before you start wrapping this up, because you the man, you the one that put this together, bro. We got to do a commercial for you too.
You know what? I was kind of sneaking off. I was like, okay, well, we're gonna keep it Tom. But yeah, David Carmena Enterprises, we are a full service real estate company. We do a lot of works with investors. That's really my passion, guys, is really helping investors become independently wealthy. As you know, Joel, that's how I made my wealth, through real estate. And so I think that there's still a lot of good real estate opportunities that we bought a house yesterday. And that is one that we're going to rehab and resell. We have a brokerage that handles the traditional buy, sell, and rent. One of the things I'm really excited about is that our real estate school, Paynight International School of Real Estate, where we're teaching agents how to become real estate agents. We had 2 classes that we recently graduated. And so we're really excited about that, because real estate is still an opportunity. As everyone knows, the market is kind of, but the next year, I think that there's really going to be another market correction. We've probably seen it already. There's a market correction, but there's going to be probably another 10% market correction. So if you're in the market as an investor, you might want to think about that. But Joel, you said so much, is that it's not what you make, it's what you keep. So the financial component to that, the tax saving on not paying paying your taxes, but really trying to reduce your tax liability is key. I think that I do not know another industry where you can make the returns you can make and build that generational wealth better than real estate. Brian, you said you said about crypto, and back in the day, everybody was, and now we know what's going on there. The stock market is up and down, but with real estate, especially multifamily real estate, we're talking about commercial multifamily real estate, anything over 4 doors, great opportunities, multiple doors, great opportunities. And you and your family can eat on a good investment for 30, 40 years. So, David Carmena, if you guys need anybody out there, you want to talk about it, you can go to just at David Carmena, send me something, or davidcarmena.com, and we can definitely talk about it. So, Thank you, Joel. I appreciate you reminding me to plug what I do.
That's right.
And I appreciate that. So when we wrap up, I really think that it's interesting to me that how men and women view the same topic, the same subject so differently. Every man that came on tonight, they mentioned how, he should stay, he shouldn't retire. There are benefits to that. He was Tom Brady before they met. He needs to still be Tom Brady. And I can tell you last week when we did the show,
that way.
it wasn't the case. You hear he was selfish. What about the kids? She's doing it all herself. Everybody blaming her.
She's not doing it all herself. She got nanny.
100 millionaires don't do anything by themselves. This woman can hire 100 nannies. You know
what I'm saying? Like, come on.
The woman is worth $400 million.
Yeah.
Come on, son. I'm not hearing that. No. I'm sorry.
It's like she's one leg is tied to the stove and the other leg, she have no help. The woman can pick up the phone and
like she's sweaty, trying to sweep the floor with a bonnet on her head. Like, come on, man.
Hey, come on, man.
It's a totally different opinion, and so I value their opinion, and they have a certain perspective, and I'm sure it's all out of love. He is getting hit, and the concussions and all of that. So I think that we need to think about that, but still, let the man be Tom Brady.
Right.
I think women, fundamentally misunderstand the mentality of certain athletes. They're like, they see the glamour, the money, and you like, this guy is a warrior, man. You can't like change this dude for who he is. Right. He's not the soft, emotional man you may or may not want, so I don't know.
No, but see, this is the thing. That's what attracted her to him. Attracted
his warrior nature, probably.
Yeah. Right. Bottom line.
He was an alpha, and she wants to turn him into something else.
Right. Exactly. And so he stood his ground. I mean,
like an alpha tends to do.
That's right.
Like, hey,
you guys gonna get me in trouble with the comments. Hold on. Look, we got to end it there. Y'all gonna
let me just put that fire back out before we flame it up a little too much.
I may not have a show next week,
All right.
Maybe you'll have a show with a lot more people, man. Controversy sells. At the end of the day.
All right.
Awesome. So it was a pleasure meeting you guys. Pleasure meeting you, Brian. Let's definitely talk offline for sure. See if we can create some synergies and maybe, do some type of joint presentations or something like that. I think that'd be warranted.
Joel, what's your email? I'm gonna just write it down real quick.
JJ Sylvain, SYLVAIN at ft.newyorklife.com. And it's fully spelled out New York.
Oh, I was about to mess that up. Okay.
Yeah, so NEWYORKLIFE.com.
Okay, so JJ Sullivan at ft.newyorklife.com.
That's correct.
Got it.
Yeah, send me an email and then let's coordinate.
Got it.
Love making connections. Love making business connections. That's what it's all about, guys. All right. Thank you again. Thank you for coming on to the show. I appreciate your comments. Listen, if you get in trouble with your significant other, I ain't got nothing to do with it. I don't have anything. It ain't me.
Blame it on Brady, man. Don't worry.
Blame it on Brady. That's right. Take care, guys.
Take it easy.
All right, guys. We had a lively discussion, and I really enjoyed the people that came up. As always, you want to work. This is a business show, so you want to take the tips. Tampa Bay is a great area to invest, to live, to grow your business. And as always, I want you guys to consider real estate as that opportunity for your business to grow, and stay grinding.